مرحبا واهلا وسهلا فيكم. اليوم في معنا ضيفة كثير مميزة بتشتغل كبروفيسور هون ب Graduate School of Education بجامعة هارفرد وكمان ريسيرشر ببروجيكت زيرو. فتينا بلايث welcome.
مرحبا كيفكم؟ إن شاء الله تمام.
Thank you. Good Arabic.
Thank you.
First of all, we're so happy that you're here with us, and hopefully we'll get to talk about interesting things. And but first, before we get to start with it, can you please just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So I am a researcher here at Project Zero. I also am a teacher. I teach graduate students here at the Harvard Graduate School of Education. Mm-hmm. And many years ago, before I came to Project Zero, I taught middle and high school, so secondary students. Mm-hmm. And I still occasionally am a guest teacher for an 8th grade class. So I remember, I keep reminding myself of the challenges, I guess.
This is actually very crucial because I respect people who are in education in terms of teacher leaders or working in development of teachers, but they have been teachers. Yeah. This adds credibility, and you know exactly what it feels like being a teacher.
Yes, it keeps you very, very, we say, up close and personal with the challenges.
Absolutely.
Which is great. Even after, and I've been doing this research about 30 years now.
Wow.
So it's, it's
wow.
Good to have two hats to wear.
Absolutely. Okay, you mentioned, and we talked about Project Zero. Now, what is Project Zero, especially for those who've never heard about it, maybe, in my part of the world? What is Project Zero?
Great question. So Project Zero is a research group. We have been here at the Graduate School of Education at Harvard for 50 years now. And our mission is to study learning, thinking, and creativity. And we want to study that not just so that we know how those things happen, but we're also really interested in how do you support those things, especially in places like schools? How do we make schools places where learning, thinking, and creativity can all thrive for all students?
Wow, learning, thinking, and creativity. Okay, let's focus a little bit more on the learning process.
Great.
Because some teachers think that learning and teaching are the exact same thing, or you can use these words together. But and also, like, there's a teacher fallacy or misconception that says that if I teach a great lesson, then my students have learned.
Yes, the number one misconception of which I myself have fallen prey to, just to be full disclosure. Lots of times I walk out of the classroom and I'm thinking to myself, oh, wow, that was a great lesson. Everything was on time. The students were engaged. I was really excited. Therefore, they learned a lot. Who knows? Teaching and learning actually are relatively independent activities. Mm-hmm. If we really want to understand what our students have understood, what we have to do is look really carefully at their work. The work that students do in our classrooms day in and day out is the most powerful data about how effective our teaching is. Not the test scores, not whether we felt like it went well, but what our students actually did. So I think a great practice for us as educators is to, as frequently as we can, take our student work and share it with our colleagues. Mm-hmm. And ask for their perspective. Not ask them to judge the work, right? We all grade work. We look at student work a lot, right? Not ask them to judge the work, but to ask them, where do they see learning in the work? And then we have the conversation about, what do I as a teacher need to do so that this student will learn more, has the opportunity to learn more? I think that is a critical conversation. In most places, it never happens. Even though we're with our colleagues all the time, right? I don't know if things in Jordan are the way they are here in the U.S. We go to faculty meetings, we go to department meetings, we go to grade level meetings, we have committee meetings of various kinds. Oh, yeah. We're in meetings all the time. Rarely are we actually talking about our students' work, the assignments, what they produced in our classrooms or what they produced at home? That's the critical conversation.
Yeah, and what I like about what you just shared is that the fact that we're not going to depend on our own feelings as teachers. How did we feel about giving the lesson? Because again, we have to do some kind of reality check. And the best way to look at it is through students' work and how they and where learning took place. Now, it's interesting that you said where learning took place in that piece of work for students. But if we, as teachers, we have an assignment, we ask them to do 1, 2, 3 as is. So technically, we're going to look for those specific things that we're going to evaluate them upon. Now, is this different than what the students have learned? Because maybe we could say that, oh, we have an amazing student, he passes all my exams and he or she does super well. But is this a true reflection of learning? Is this what learning is all about? Or
this is a good question. I think I do feel a little odd when I recommend that teachers look at student work. I'm like, when are we not looking at student work, right?
Yeah.
How much grading do we do of papers and assignments and projects and things our students have done? Of course we look at student work. I think the challenge is most of the time when we look at that work, we're looking with one thing in mind. Mm-hmm. Did they do what I expected them to do? Mm-hmm. And that's an important lens. But if it's the only lens we ever wear, I think we miss a lot. We miss a lot both for the students who are succeeding and doing what we wanted, but we're missing even more, I think, with students who haven't done what we expected to do, what we've expected them to do. Sometimes, that wasn't my goal, but if I can suspend my own goals long enough to look carefully at the work, I see they actually did something else that was really interesting. And if I can understand that, it might help them get to the goals that I know are important. So I'm not saying my goals as a teacher are unimportant at all. Of course they're important. What I am saying is that when that frame of mind dominates every single time we engage with student work, I think we've lost an opportunity to really understand our students as people and then to be able to use that understanding to help them move forward in the ways that we really want them to, which is why collaborative looking, we call it collaborative assessment here at Project Zero. This is why the collaborative assessment of student work is so important, because it's really hard. If I'm the teacher and I have a certain set of goals, it's very, very difficult for me to put those goals aside. But if you're my colleague and you come in and you don't necessarily know all my goals, you're looking with a different lens and you'll start to see some things that I didn't notice.
Oh, so the secret here is when we share the students' work with colleagues, is that we don't tell them what we're looking for.
That often helps, actually. Don't set the frame. Don't go in and say, okay, I wanted them to do these 3 things. What do you think? Just say, here's some student work. Mm-hmm. Can you look at it with me and just tell me what you're seeing? What are you noticing here? Yeah, that can be really powerful. It can also be, if you're the teacher bringing the work, this is my experience anyway. If I'm the teacher bringing the work, it can also be a little intimidating.
For you
yes, right. What if you look at my students' work and say, and you don't think it's good, or you think, are you going to think I'm a bad teacher, right? So it requires that we have a little bit of trust in our colleagues, or that we be so committed to becoming a better teacher, because I think this kind of conversation is crucial to becoming a better teacher. We have to be so committed to becoming a better teacher that we're willing to risk. Yeah, I guess so.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Oh, my pleasure.
Really. And of course, furthermore, on Project Zero, I'm going to post, there's a link going to appear here if you guys are interested to learn and to know more about Project Zero and especially the 3 main pillars, learning, creativity, and thinking.
Yes, exactly.
And thank you so much, Tina.
My pleasure.
We appreciate this. And hopefully we'll see you again in Jordan someday.
I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you.